In this video, we're going to start taking a look at the periodic table. So we need to start by really understanding some of the terminology that we use when we talk about the periodic table. Let's start off with first, group. So groups are written all along the top of the periodic table here, and a group refers to a column. So a column is equal to a group. And we usually use the numbers that are related to the different columns in the periodic table. So we have group 1, which are these elements all down here. And group 2 are all of these ones here, and so on and so forth, all the way up to group 18. Now, sometimes with groups, and we'll see why in later lessons, but group 13 is also called group 3. Or group 14 is also called group 4, and 5, 6, 7, and 8. So depending on the periodic table you're looking at, it could be referred to, for these last set of groups here, either the group by the single digit or the one with the 10 factor in front of it. So just something worth keeping in mind when we talk about group number. The next term we need is period. So period numbers are listed along the side here, and there are 7 periods, or a period is also a row in the periodic table. So there are 7 periods in this periodic table. So all of these elements, hydrogen, helium, are in period 1. In period 2, we have all of these elements, and so on, all the way down to period 7. Now, when we also take a look at our periodic table, we can see that some of the elements are in yellow, some are in green, and some are in red. All of the elements that are in yellow are metals. Okay, so all of the yellow ones are metals. All of the elements that are listed in red are nonmetals. And then we have this last group here that are in green. And all of the elements that are in green are called metalloids. Metalloids. Okay, so that includes boron, silicon, germanium, As, Sb, and Te. So they're all sort of 7 there, and they sit on this jagged line between which the periodic table is divided into metals and nonmetals. Okay. Now, the reason they're called metalloids is because they have properties of both metals and nonmetals. And we'll see some examples of those later on in the course. All right, the last thing we want to notice and recognize about this periodic table is that some of the elements are written in black, some are written in blue, and some are written in red. And this actually tells us, you can see this in our periodic table in our classroom or on most periodic tables like this, if they're printed in color. If an element's black, written in black writing, which is most of the metals here, as well as a couple of the nonmetals, like here, then they are solid at room temperature. And so when I say room temperature, usually when we talk about room temperature in science, we talk about 25 degrees Celsius. All of the elements listed in red, and there are only 2 here, mercury and bromine. So the red ones are liquid at room temperature. So mercury and bromine are both liquids at room temperature. And then finally, the ones that are listed in blue are gases at room temperature. And so that is most of our nonmetals over on this side here. Not all of them are going to be gases at room temperature, but quite a few of them are. Okay, that's it for this video. Let's move on to our next lesson.